This is our Knowledge and Language project. We will be discussing Scope and Perspective Question 2. We split it evenly between Sebastian Toole, Sophia Simmons, Isabel Moreno, Yasmin Altipilo, and Sophia Smith.
Language gives humans the ability to share knowledge and pool resources in three ways. The first way is by direct communication. Language allows us to directly exchange ideas with one another through means of conversation, as well as feed off of each other's ideas by discourse and disagreement, or even through means of higher education. Second is the news media. Language allows humans to report current events, as well as share the benefits of their current resources that not all humans may have access to. These institutions have the capability to obtain knowledge that the average human cannot, and they will share this information through different forms of language, such as articles, podcasts, or television. Third is group discussion. Many humans come together in large groups and have conventions. This could be in the workplace or simply in the home, and this allows for knowledge to be shared by multiple people. When ideas are presented and other people comment on these ideas, we are able to share our knowledge with one another, as well as learn from other people's contributions.
The ability to communicate in complex languages is what distinguishes us from other primates. They can communicate danger, but cannot do so specifically like we can. Their language is very limited. The ability to form complex languages allows us to communicate as a community and make them expand and grow more than our ancestors like chimpanzees. The San or Bushman people are hunters and gatherers who live in the Kalahari Desert. They pool resources, and being that they live in such a resource-depleted area, they must travel for their food and water, and to do so, they have to communicate on where there may be the most resources. As societies such as the native nations in Florida developed, they noticed that a more agrarian lifestyle would be better for their long-term evolution. So they noticed through communication that fire could actually be used as a fertilizer for agriculture, or they used shark teeth to cut down trees. Through this, they were able to evolve into what they are now, and this is very much required to build more stratified.
Humans are the only species that use language to communicate thoughts and knowledge. Animals mainly use visual or auditory methods to communicate with each other. They cannot formulate words or sentences, but can make noises to express themselves. Without the use of language, it is extremely difficult to express one's beliefs or ideas with others. A part of our knowledge is derived from experiences and learning about others' experiences. When people communicate their experiences, we learn new valuable lessons. There are about 7,000 languages in the world. They are all similar yet different in their structures and use of certain words. All of these languages serve for the same overall purpose, for humans to share knowledge within each other. Dan Jurafsky, professor in humanities and chair of the Department of Linguistics in the School of Humanities and Sciences at Stanford, said, "It's important to study languages other than our own and how they develop over time because it can help scholars understand what lies at the foundation of humans' unique way of communicating with one another. All this research can help us discover what it means to be human." So, for example, when people who speak different languages communicate with others, many cultural resources are obtained and spread. The use of language, no matter which one specifically, is used worldwide to inform humans, impact their behaviors, and affect the way we perceive the world.
Language is the main way we acquire knowledge in the world, and without it, people wouldn't be able to understand and be influenced. Social media uses lots of techniques to share knowledge and change the way we perceive things. Labels are used to categorize everything. Social media plus other forms of online communication spreads the unknown words or phrases to become common vocabulary. For example, in politics, people use words such as liberals, conservative, red states, and blue states. Since these labels are common in our vocabulary today, humans are aware of the meaning and interpret it in the same way. People attach labels to us, and those labels reflect and affect how others think about our identities, as well as how we think about ourselves. Labels are not always negative. They could reflect positive characteristics, set useful expectations, and provide meaningful goals in our lives. Putting a label on groups helps us understand and share their beliefs. For example, if you say someone is a liberal, you automatically think of a supportive democracy, and others will too.
By establishing communications between humans, language has become a crucial part of sharing information. Language affects how society has been able to share knowledge with one another by using technology, logic, and communication. Technology has affected the way society communicates, learns, and thinks. It has determined how people interact with each other, makes learning more interactive and collaborative, and can easily share information through an extensive network. Technology has helped people better engage with the materials that they are learning. Reason and logic have also been a key factor in sharing knowledge. since using and sharing common sense has been the source of many principles. When one studies the ideas they put together, they help link concepts to understand what it is they are imagining. Without language, these ideas cannot have been shared. Language is the method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. Different types of language, whether it be body, sign, or spoken, have been achieved through communication. Language has become essential when sharing or learning information.
Ambiguity is a shortcoming of language to a certain extent, but not significant enough to be eliminated because of the multiplicity of benefits that it offers. The ways in which ambiguity hinders language vary from differing connotations, additional definitions, and mechanics such as sarcasm. These imply that a word that is stated is not following its specific dictionary definition and can occasionally cause mild confusion. However, these mild drawbacks do not compare to its potential benefits and does not accumulate enough reason for its elimination. Ambiguity allows for intricate and complex variations to language, which occasionally may make it more confusing, but when understood, it allows for more possibilities and diversification of language. This contributes to deeper phrases with more interpretable aspects of them, and can permit better and more efficient communication without a necessity for superfluous language.
A word can become ambiguous when it can be understood with two different meanings. Ambiguity can make some people's phrases interpreted differently. MIT, a college in Massachusetts, did a study on how ambiguity can actually be an advantage. This study was in response to many other studies saying that it was a disadvantage for our language. Ted Gibson, an MIT professor, said, "But the fact that context disambiguates has important ramifications for the reuse of potentially ambiguous forms. Ambiguity is no longer a problem. It's something that you can take advantage of because you can reuse easy words in different contexts over and over again." They believe that with context words, we could be able to disambiguate these words and become more efficient. Isabel and I can read the same phrase or the same sentence and understand two things, but then with proper evaluation, we can understand the simple meaning. We could reuse easy words to mean different meanings and add.
Ambiguity is beneficial in language because it provides words to have different meanings and allows them to be used in distinct ways. It should not be eliminated because it provides better communication efficiency by being less redundant and allowing words to be reused. If each word were to be clearly defined and only have one meaning, it would be difficult for humans to communicate such complex ideas. Although, ambiguity can lead to it being harder for the listener to understand what the speaker is saying. When communicating ideas, the speaker must use other words in their sentence that are linked with the meaning of a word that contains ambiguity. As for the listener, it is their responsibility to properly understand what the speaker is trying to communicate through context clues. Language is intricate, and the use of ambiguity allows people to develop multiple interpretations of what others say.
Ambiguity is something we want to keep in our communication system because it makes language more efficient by having more words with the same meaning. Being ambiguous can be confusing but allows us to know more synonyms so we aren't repetitive. There are two types of ambiguity, lexical and syntactic. Lexical is used more in puns and other forms of wordplay. Syntactic presents two or more possible meanings within a sentence or phrase. To uncover the true meaning, we must use context clues. The connotation of words can also be considered ambiguity. Emotional language is how language affects the way we think. News media can be biased and use words such as war instead of conflict. The two types of words that are presented have different connotation. War sounds more violent, negative, and brings fear, while conflict is also negative but doesn't sound as harsh. Emotional language allows humans to know different connotations of words to help understand the context. Words create a vivid understanding through negative and positive connotations. People perceive words in a similar manner, expanding our knowledge. Normally, humans could hear a word and automatically say if it's negative, positive, or neutral.
Usually, language is viewed as a literal vehicle for accurately communicating ideas. But even when one uses language literally, misunderstandings arise and meanings shift. People can be intentionally or unintentionally ambiguous. Nevertheless, when someone uses a potentially ambiguous sentence or expression, usually the intention was to express only one meaning. As we know, most words have denotations, apparent meanings, connotations, and implied or hidden meanings. Also, we often figuratively use words. Even though the figurative language is more often used in poetry and fiction, it is still very common in ordinary speech. Ambiguity is a poetic vehicle. It is human nature to try and find meaning within an exchange. A text is given to us, and in return, we give our interpretation. Our associations give us an understanding of what is presented to us.